What's poppin', y'all? It looks like the beef, quote unquote, between T-Pain and Drake is just continuing to escalate. Now, if you're unfamiliar, this all started just a couple of days ago when T-Pain got asked some questions about Drake. He gave a response saying that Drake should have bowed out. I'll play you guys that clip right now.
The one thing I learned from Drake, and here's the crazy thing. One thing I learned from Drake, but one thing he hasn't followed his own words. Drake said, I want to be one of the people that gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I have ever since said,
You really
thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all when I drop. Don't worry about it. I'll just drop something. Let me know if you heard it. Drake is like, no, listen. Okay, I got another one. Oh, check this out. Check this out. Y'all didn't like that one? Okay, real quick. Just one more. Let me try one more. And then he's the person that he said, he didn't want to be. And I learned that from him. Like when he said that, I want to gracefully bow out and not get kicked out. I was like, you know what? Sorry. I'm out this.
This is just live shows now.
I'm out this mother. I'm not trying to impress y'all niggas. Y'all don't give a fuck about live or die. Why the fuck would I keep trying to impress y'all? I'm out. I'm done. I did everything that I was trying to do. I changed the game. I made a sound. What else? What else?
You literally can't. It's only even if you make a hit today.
It won't even. That's just normal.
Yes.
It's just normal. It's like, yeah, that's okay. Cool song.
With full context, you get to see more and think, oh, well, actually, T-Pain is just saying that he followed Drake's advice and he wouldn't be able to handle the scrutiny on his music and just having to keep up with public appearances and just public sentiment to stay poppin'. But Drake responded to this in an IG post where he talked about how, this guy's been slick hating on him the entire time. And in my previous video, I talked about how, it doesn't feel like T-Pain is somebody that's frustrated with how his career went. We didn't really ever hear him complain about label issues like other artists or rappers. We didn't hear him sue his record label or make a stink out of it. Now, maybe he did get them audited, who knows? But I thought this was going to fizzle out, but it continued to compound, and then we got Chris Brown involved. So Chris Brown just randomly tweeted the following. And I say randomly, quote unquote. And it wasn't a tweet, it was an IG story where he said, random thought, ... T-Pain is one of the GOATs of my generation. Giving you your flowers, pioneer, love you, my brother. Now, some people do think this is not random. Like, why is everybody talking about T-Pain right now? It's because of what he has to do with Drake. And Chris Brown and Drake have a history. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit more context. First, I'm going to play you guys this clip of Chubbs. We'll see if we can get that through with copyright.
I gotta find the DJ, T-Pain. Hold up, I gotta find the DJ. Hold up. I gotta get T-Pain right. Hold up, y'all gotta play some T-Pain in this. What y'all talking about? The DJ at? Hold up, T. That's where I'm at. T-Pain, I got you right now. DJ. I need to play some T-Pain. I hate Drake. Yo, play T-Pain song for me. T-Pain. T-Pain. Who's the music? The DJ, hold on. T-Pain. T-Pain. T-Pain.
But Chubbs, he's OVO, he's Drake's right-hand man, he's his muscle, he's the guy that beat up Detail, who's a producer who is now gonna be in prison for the rest of his life. I don't even know if his court date started or whatever, but it was for taking box, taking cats. He was doing far worse than what they accused Diddy of, I'll tell you that much. So that's the guy that beat up Detail. And people are coming at him for this, but Chris Brown has a history with both of these artists. So Chris Brown has beef with or had beef with Drake. And this goes back to 2012. And it's because of their connection to Rihanna. So both of them had like dated and collabed with her. And then tensions really rose up when Chris Brown and Drake were involved in this like altercation at a New York nightclub. Like bottles were thrown, and Chris Brown, I think like he got hurt, but he was willing to fade it up. I mean, the reason why Chris Brown got arrested in the UK recently in London when he touched down, when he's been on his tour, or right before he went on tour, was because he allegedly hit someone over the head with some bottles at the club and broke them over some producer's head or his crew or whoever. So Chris Brown, he's down to get busy. And this incident that happened in 2012, I think, 2013, it was because Brown sent Drake a bottle of champagne as like, yo, let's be cool. And then Drake allegedly sent something back that was talking about Rihanna. We didn't really get the full story. It's kind of like hush-hush, almost like the Diddy and Drake story. But in 2013, Chris Brown threw some shots at Drake on Young Jeezy's R.I.P. remix, where he references the song Started From the Bottom. In this, he rapped, and if you started from the bottom, go on and come out the closet. And that is a reference to Drake. It's a shot at Drake. And this had a bunch of different... Ironically, this remix also had Kendrick Lamar on it. So they kept making negative comments about each other here and there. And in a 2013 interview, Drake called their like beef, quote unquote, silly and childish and wanted to get past it. However, that could have happened, but it didn't happen because Tyga comes into play. So Tyga was signed to Young Money, and Young Money, Cash Money. Or he was signed to Cash Money, actually. Cash Money, Young Money, that's where Drake and Nicki Minaj were also signed, as well as Lil Wayne underneath Birdman. They were never really close. And Tyga even said on a Vibe magazine interview in 2014, he said, I don't like Drake as a person. He's just fake to me. And this is when he was starting to have issues with the record label Cash Money, talking about payment, but said that their relationship didn't feel right. Like, he didn't feel like Drake really messed with them. It was just for business stuff, which probably makes sense. And then Drake, in the song 6 p.m. in New York, rapped, you need to act your age and not your girl's age. 2015 is around the same time that Tyga was allegedly dating Kylie Jenner. At this time, she was 16 or 17. She was younger than 18. That's for sure. So they didn't really announce that they were dating until past 18. So they start throwing shots at each other through social media and things like that. But this was the same time Chris Brown and Tyga were locked in. They even released a joint album, Fan of a Fan, which was a great project, by the way. And Chris Brown adopted this beef. Like, before that, it was something that could have passed by, but now his man's Tyga, he was going to ride for him. So they had a bunch of issues. I don't think there were any like actual altercations, but there was static there. And then in 2018 or 2019, they reconciled. Chris Brown got brought out by Drake in LA for the Aubrey and the Three Migos tour. I think this is when the first time that they linked up. So this was officially like, okay, beef's behind us. But after that, they released No Guidance in 2018, which becomes a smash hit. They even dropped a music video for it. No Guidance was really odd because it was like one of those moments where Life is Good came out with Future and Drake, and it felt inescapable. There are a couple of songs where you don't even know why you're being fed that song, and it feels like the entire world got fed that song on their feed multiple times. Like, for example, Shape of You by Ed Sheeran. I guarantee you there's a village in the middle of nowhere that has no access to electricity that knows the melody or knows how to sing Shape of You. That's how far that song went. But that song was everywhere. In the same way, not in the same way, but in a little bit less, like one tier down. That's what it felt like with No Guidance. And the radio play on No Guidance was insane. It was a great song, though. Go Crazy, I think, with Chris Brown and Young Thug, was it? That's another song that got crazy radio play. But that song ended up going diamond. And people were teasing, like a potential joint project. People were looking forward to that. Nothing happened after that. He didn't say anything about him. However, now people are saying, yo, are these guys not messing with each other anymore, or what's the case? Now, if you were to ask me, which is probably why you're here, I don't think so. I don't think that Chris Brown has any problem with Drake right now, but I do believe, I get the vibe, and from what I've heard, Chris Brown's a solid dude. Like, if you're his mans, you're his homie, he's going to make that known. And he's not going to allow people to think that think that he's just staying quiet for who knows what reason. Because some people will just stay quiet like, yo, my two people that I mess with, they're beefing. Yeah, you know, it is what it is, but I'm just going to try to keep it cordial. T-Pain is also somebody who, at his peak, did a song with Chris Brown, Kiss Kiss, of course, from Chris Brown's album Exclusive, one of their biggest songs ever. He also collaborated on Best Love Song. They've done plenty of songs together. And on T-Pain's album Oblivion, where I think he was trying to get a feature, I'm not entirely sure, Chris Brown was on that album. Chris Brown was on his 2012 album, or 2020 album as well, Wake Up Dead. So even during, keep in mind, T-Pain dropped Wake Up Dead in 2020, a single. And that is right after Chris Brown did a song with Drake, No Guidance, being one of the biggest songs ever. And I think he had Go Crazy at that time. So Chris Brown is scorching hot, 2019, 2020. He still does a song with T-Pain. He's not saying like, yo, T-Pain, you're cold as ice right now. T-Pain was cold as ice in 2020. Nobody was listening to him. Same thing with 2017. But you could say Chris Brown in 2017 wasn't Chris Brown in 2019. That's not to take anything away from him, because even Fame and X had smash hits on them. But the point that I'm making is that over a 13-year span, Chris Brown has appeared on T-Pain's music. When T-Pain was at his peak, when Chris Brown was like, 15, 16, 17, and also when Chris Brown is at his peak and T-Pain was not. So he clearly has a strong relationship with this guy, and I think he just wanted to take the opportunity to show love to him and say, like, yo, whatever you're going through and whatever people are saying about you, I think he just saw comments on IG. He's like, yo, I just need you to know that I appreciate you and that you're a legend in my generation. And I think that's something that goes a long way. And there aren't many artists like that, because Chris Brown's not dumb. He knows how this can be perceived in the public, but he's willing that perception just to make sure that T-Pain knows he's got love for him. And I don't think this is something that Drake or anybody from OVO is going to react to. If Drake thinks there's an issue, I think he would just reach out to Chris Brown, and Chris Brown would be like, yo, I'm just showing love to T-Pain. Whatever y'all got going on, that's what y'all got going on. And I think this is something that we don't get from artists very often. Like right now, Chris Brown is on another run, on a crazy run right now, on a crazy tour. And he still takes time to show love to T-Pain. So that just goes to show you, like, yo, Chris Brown seems like a solid guy. Now, I don't know him personally, but I don't think there's beef here between Chris Brown. I don't think Chris Brown and Drake. I don't think Chris Brown's throwing shots at Drake. I think they're cool, or they're at least like cordial, and there's no problems between them. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Am I just being a little bit optimistic and you think there's beef here? Let me know. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm going to see y'all in the next one.